Welcome in, everyone, to the Mad Max Lowco recap. Max Siraj, as always, here with you. We got a lot to talk about with what went on over the last week, and of course, what has gone on today in terms of the NFL, and of course, the college football playoffs bracket has been set, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Get this up here. There we go. Obviously, if you look down, the first thing to discuss, obviously, yesterday I was out in Orangeburg for the South Carolina High School League 2A football state championship game between Strom Thurmond and Hampton County. First off, hats off to Hampton County on what was a superb season, but unfortunately, the road stopped at the state championship game where Strom Thurmond just had too much strength on both sides of the ball for Hampton County to be able to handle. And I from that first drive that Hampton County had, I think you just could tell it just wasn't it wasn't going to be the day, unfortunately. Now, going into halftime, Hampton County got a score up, made it a 2-score game. Could have been interesting. They get the ball to start the second half and couldn't get anything done. The running game wasn't there, and then you turn to the passing game, and I'll just say right now, that's the most passing I've seen Hampton County try and use the entire season. But this is really one of the first times that Hampton County has had to go to the passing game. You look at the Hilton Head game; they didn't really have to go to the passing game. They could have just kept running the football. I think they were able to wear down the opponent. But the problem was in this game, Jalen Singletary just couldn't get any open space, unfortunately. And look, he was trying to get every yard he could for Hampton County, but it just wasn't enough. And of course, Strom Thurmond gets the win, 26-7 over Hampton County, and they are the 2A state champs. Congratulations to them, by the way. That's one hell of a team. They are a squad, and it clearly showed. The one thing I think Strom Thurmond had, they both have similar offenses, but the one thing Strom Thurmond has is they had a solidified, strong passing game with a good receiving core. And I think that's the same thing with Hampton County. They have a good receiving core, but they don't have a solidified passing game. They never had to use the passing game the entire season. And honestly, I think if Hampton County gets to this stage next year, I would be going into the state championship with a much more solidified passing game. But that's my opinion. Apart from all that, I think Rob Hanna's done an amazing job with this program and what they have been able to do over the last few years. They got to the state championship game. Yes, you lost, but now you need to figure out what's the next step to get them over that hump and get them a state title. And I think they're able to do it next year. I think this Hampton County team is a program that's not going to go away anytime soon. They keep churning out kids onto this team, and they're all just as impressive as the one before, and so I think for me, I was so excited to watch Hampton County play at South Carolina State yesterday. It was just fun to see those jerseys on that field and see those players, trying to give it everything they had. And, it didn't end the way you wanted it to, but you just, sometimes that kind of game will take place. I said the same thing about Colleton Prep a few weeks back, when they lost to Williamsburg Academy, and Williamsburg was just a bigger, stronger, faster team than Colleton Prep was, but Colleton Prep gave it everything they had to make it a ball game. And they really tried to. And, and this is the same thing here. Strom Thurmond was just the bigger up front, stronger, faster team. And just had the better game plan. And it's just unfortunate. I think, Hampton County did such a tremendous job trying to stay in the game. They pushed and fought hard on offense. They tried to do their best on defense, the passing game just caught Hampton County for a whirl, especially with the two receivers they had on Strom Thurmond, including I believe number 7 for them, Simpkins, I think is his last name. It was just, I just kind of felt after that first drive where, Jalen Singletary ran a long one for a touchdown that was called back on a penalty. I just kind of had a weird feeling that it was going to be one of those days. Unfortunately it was. But I think Hampton County tried to make the adjustments. Terrell Grant, I think, for me, Terrell Grant has an amazing arm. He has a very strong arm, but this was the first time he had to really try to throw the football. I wouldn't say try to throw the football. I said this is the first time he's really had to throw this much, and actually have to use a passing game. Um, and while he had the strength and he had the speed, that ball was zooming through when he had to throw a pass. The problem was it just wasn't always very accurate, and I think the reason is because he hasn't really had to throw the football much during games this season. I mean, they breezed through the lower states without ever having to, throw the football. I mean, they had a couple plays here and there where they just, kind of casually threw a lob pass for a touchdown. I mean, we saw it against Central. They threw one pass, for a touchdown, and it was just a lob pass. It wasn't any, bullet passes or anything, very small and, short passes, medium passes. It was just, it was barely a passing game of that, and I think for me, I think Hampton County, I would like to see them throw the football more because I think it's just part of the offense that I wish they would use a little bit more. I think that they have a fantastic receiving core, and I think when they use it, they're a receiving core that can match with any 2A program. And actually, I think they could match up with some of the 3A and 4A programs we have had around this area, including, Bluffton and Hilton Head. I think they would have a receiving core that could go up against, the Hilton Head defense, the Bluffton defense this season if they had used it, because I just think if you would add that passing game to this offense that's already one of the strongest running offenses in all of 2A football, you add the passing game to it, it opens up a whole new dimension to their game. And I just think they would have such a better time if they had that solidified passing game going into this. If they, used it a bit more, as despite the fact that they ran over Central and ran over Manning by just running the football, if they would have used the passing game, Terrell Grant would have been ready to throw the football. And those footballs, I think, would be more accurate because he's had more chances to throw the football during the game. And I think for me, you know, that was the factor of the game. They just didn't have a passing game that could, if you got the passing game going, then the running game would open up, and I think that could have been the case for, Hampton County, but nonetheless, great win by Strom Thurmond. That's one heck of a team that they have over there. And, for Hampton County, back to the drawing board, get ready for, the off season has started. It started today, for them. And that's what it is. You get done with the season, the off season, figure out what you got to fix, figure out what you got to have to be ready for another state championship game next season if you can get there, because this is a long road through the playoffs to get there, and it's never easy. But I think for me, Hampton County did an incredible job, but I just, it just wasn't their day. It just wasn't their day. But hats off to Hampton County. What an incredible season. I think everyone, including myself at Lowco Sports, can say I was proud to watch the team this year. They were so much fun to watch. And I think for me, Jalen Singletary is one of the best running backs I've seen in my time doing Lowco Sports. And I think he is a special talent. And wherever he goes at the college level, wherever he ends up going, they're getting something special. So, that's my thoughts on Hampton County. We'll be talking about it more, of course, on Monday night on the Lowco Sports Lowdown with myself, Justin Jarrett, Wes Kerr, and of course, Marcus Walsh, if he's able to hop in. So there's that. Got that one out of the way. Briefly, I'll talk about USCB women's and men's basketball. They were both at Lander on Saturday afternoon. Women's, once again this week, 2 times this week, where they have been down in the fourth quarter and have come from behind to win a game. They win it after being down 18 points. to Lander and win the ball game. I'm going to get up their stats here while I can have the chance. Well, let me get the men's team first. Let me get the women's team here. Men's team, on the other hand, not so good. And there's a reason behind the way they ended up playing. So let me get this up here. So schedule. Here we go. Women's team is now 2-0 in conference play. Great start for them. They win 62-60 on Saturday afternoon in Greenwood, South Carolina at the Finnis Horn Arena, home of Lander. Let's see here. So Lander scored 20 in the first quarter to USCB's 9. Lander outscored USCB in the second quarter 14-12. USCB, on the other hand, going in the second half, outscores Lander 17-14. And then USCB, for some reason, they have been a fourth quarter team, 24 points to 12 points from Lander in the fourth quarter to give them the 62-60 win. 5-4 overall now. They are above 500, ladies and gentlemen. How about that for the women's team? Above 500. And 2-0 in Peach Belt. Lander, on the other hand, they've dropped to 2-6 and are now 0-2 in Peach Belt play. The men's team, by the way, actually, before we get to that, Tania Bowman had another great day. 17 points, 3 steals, 2 assists, and 3 rebounds. 9 for 11 at the free throws. Doing all of that in 28 minutes. Really impressive from Tania Bowman. Janiah Hayward had 14 points, 3 steals, only 2 turnovers, 1 assist, 3 rebounds. Really good showing by Janiah Hayward. 7 of 12 on field goals. So really, really impressive from Janiah Hayward. Lydia Gattosi did it again. She had a good day. She had 10 points, 4 steals, 5 assists. Yeah, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, 3 of 4 from the free throw. So they have fixed the free throws because Tania Bowman was 9 of 11. Lydia Gattosi 3 of 4. Samantha Bardenaro. I'm sorry, Samantha, if you're watching. I can't get your last name properly down. I'll get it. Don't worry. 10 points for Samantha, 1 steal, only 1 turnover, 3 rebounds, 5 of 6 from the free throw line. Again, free throws seem to be fixed, problem solved, especially after that Lenore Ryan game. And she was 2 of 6 from the field in a span of 22 minutes. So, 4 players in double digits in terms of points. Great thing for the women's basketball team. I feel like the world is upside down because somehow the women's team is 2-0, and unfortunately, the men's team has fallen to 0-2. Now, there is a reason behind this. Let me get the stats up, and then I'll explain what took place on Saturday in Greenwood for the men's team. Now, the score: Lander 103, USCB 74. That's a 29-point difference. Not something you see every day in the Peach Belt Conference. And there's a reason. Unfortunately, according to sources, USCB's men's team was down. 7 players were out due to an illness. And that, and I'm looking at it here. Let's see, out of the players that played, Kevon Price played, Dominic Eason played, Evan Kilminster played, Aiden Fitzgerald did play, Seth Cullen played, Lucas Platana, Jamaica Adair, Israel Eatman, and Zach Cullen. That's all that played. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players is all that played in this game. And of those players that weren't there or were sick, one of them, of course, was Hudson Norton. He didn't play yesterday, so he was one of those 7 players that was sick, and he's a huge piece to this USCB team, and is part of the reason why they fell 74 to 103. But Kevon Price had a good game: 19 points, 2 steals, 3 turnovers, only 3 turnovers, 3 rebounds, 4 of 6 from a free throw line. He had a 3-pointer, 1 of 2 from the 3-point line, and 7 of 10 from the field. Um, Dominic Eason, 10 points, 1 steal, 3 assists, only 1 turnover, 7 rebounds, um, 3 of 3 from the free throw line, 1 of 3 from the 3-point line, and 3 of 11 from the field. Not a great day for Dominic Eason, but I think, when you're down as many players as you are, it doesn't help. And Evan Kilminster had 9 points, uh, 3 assists, 3 rebounds, 1 of 8 from the 3-point line. That's not great, but I think that's going to improve. That's just not a great day. 4 of 15 from the field. Look, am I worried about USCB? No. Yes, they did start 0-2 in Peach Belt play, but I'm not worried. I think these two teams are just. Obviously, don't get me wrong. Lander's a very good team. They're now 6-2 on the year, 1-1 in Peach Belt play. Their one loss came to Columbus State earlier this week. What do you want me to say? I mean, the one thing I would say in USCB's defense, they were down 7 players. Everyone, 7 players. That does not help. You kind of need those 7 players, including the fact that one of those 7 was Hudson Norton, because he did not play yesterday. So, yeah, I mean, look, that is unfortunate. Um, and in terms of USCB played 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Lander had a full team and they played 12 players compared to the 9 for USCB. And USCB usually plays more than just 9 players per game. So I look, it is what it is. Blow past this one. Look forward to the next one. And by the way, the next one is, of course, a home game. So hopefully this team is healthy by Wednesday, because they do have a big matchup in Peach Belt play. You do not want to start 0-3 in the Peach Belt Conference. Not a good idea. And of course, they got Augusta at home, 7:30 on Wednesday night, December 10th. So this coming Wednesday, 3 days out. The women's team has also got a game against Augusta. The women's team, if they could start 3-0, oh boy, see if they can continue to do that. And I apologize for everyone who's watching. Apparently my Instagram stream was not running. I apologize. Now it is, so don't worry. So yeah, that's USCB right there. Men's team, move on, focus, get back on it. You don't want to go 0-3 to start out Peach Belt play. Not a good idea whatsoever. For the women's team, you get a 3-0 start. That is fantastic, and that means the world has clearly gone upside down, because at this point last year, I think that was flip-flop. Men started out undefeated. Women started out, I don't think they had a win at this point in Peach Belt play yet. So what a world we live in. That's all I'm going to say. All right, moving on. So that's USCB basketball covered. High school basketball, we'll talk more about that on Monday, because I don't have all the scores. Obviously, we did talk about on Friday night, great game between Bridges Prep and the Hardyville Hurricanes. Bridges Prep gets the win by free throws to win 51-50 over the Hurricanes of Hardyville. Hurricanes had the lead pretty much the entire game. So, so there's that for high school basketball. Let's move on to college football. And as you can see below, and if you have seen so far, college football playoffs are set. And I will get the bracket up here in just a second, but we'll go over the scores real quick. If I can get them up here. All right, here we go. Of the important conference championship games. On Friday, of course, Tulane got the win over North Texas, 31-24. Tulane 20th in the country, North Texas 24th at the time. Sun Belt Championship. James Madison wins 31-14 over Troy. They got a it was a 14 to 3 game in favor of Troy going in through the second quarter, and then James Madison scored 14 points to finish out the first half, make it a 17-point ball game, and then from there on out, they scored 14 points in the fourth quarter to make it a 31 to 14 ball game. Then on Saturday, of course, the big ones. Big 12 championship, number 4 Texas Tech taking on number 11 BYU. Texas Tech gets the easy win, 34-7. That Texas Tech team is a beast. SEC championship game, number 3 Georgia taking on number 9 Alabama, and that was a mismatch. Georgia dominates Alabama 28-7, and Alabama was scoreless through 3 quarters. Can't remember the last time I've seen Alabama have no points after 3 quarters. Absolutely ridiculous. It was a 21-0 game going into the fourth quarter. Alabama finally scored, but it was way too late for them to do anything. So Georgia wins the SEC. And then, of course, at night, the Big Ten championship, number 2 Indiana taking on number 1 Ohio State. Indiana gets the win after scoring a touchdown in the third quarter and holding the Buckeyes scoreless through 2 quarters in the third and fourth. They held the Buckeyes scoreless through the second half. What a way for Indiana to get a win and just prove to everyone that they are a team to not be reckoned with. So Indiana gets a win, 13-10. And then, of course, the one that I think shocked a lot of people last night, the ACC championship game. Actually, it didn't shock me because, to be honest, the ACC has been pure chaotic the entire season, and the chaos continued. And us college football fans, we love chaos. Nothing wrong with it. Duke 8-5 gets the win over the 10 and Duke was 7-5 at the time. They're now 8-5. Gets the 27-20 overtime win against number 17 Virginia. Virginia is now out completely of the playoffs. They finished their season 10-3. Hats off to Virginia. Tony Elliott is a fantastic coach. And I think Virginia is going to hate seeing this one for years to come. Duke finishes the season 8-5. They get the ACC title. And that opened up a can of worms for the College Football Playoff Committee. But they have figured it out, and they have made their bracket. And here we go. And they made their decision on who gets that last conference championship bid. Either the James Madison Dukes or the Duke Blue Devils. And they gave it to James Madison. I kind of saw that one coming, if I'm being completely honest. James Madison will be on the road at Oregon. That's on TNT, by the way, on December 20th. It's a 7:30 game on December 20th, so we're a couple weeks out from that. The 11 seed will go to Tulane, the winners of the American Athletic Conference Championship. They will be on the road at Ole Miss. That is a interesting game. 2 Southern teams going at it. The 10 seed goes to Miami. Now, this was the one that people were discussing about who gets that 10th and last at-large bid spot. Does it go to Miami? Does it go to Notre Dame? Or possibly BYU? Excuse me, possibly BYU. And it went to Miami. They leapfrogged Notre Dame. Notre Dame was ranked, I believe, 9th or 10th at the time. Miami jumps them. My guess is it's based off the head-to-head, which those 2 teams played at the beginning of the year, and Miami won 27-24. If I'm being completely honest, I think I would have rather had Notre Dame in at the 10th spot. And the reason I say that is I think if those 2 teams played now, I think Miami would lose to Notre Dame. But head-to-head is what it is, and that's the reason Miami gets in. They will be on the road at Kyle Field, Texas A&M, the number 7 seed overall, and that will be also on December 20th. So Tulane, Ole Miss, James Madison, Oregon, and Miami, Texas A&M will all be on the 20th. Miami, Texas A&M will be at noon. At 3:30, it'll be Tulane and Ole Miss, and then at 7:30 for the primetime game, it'll be James Madison and Oregon. Then on the 19th, Is there only one game on the 19th? Yeah, there's only one game on the 19th at 3:30. It'll be number 9 Alabama taking on number 8 Oklahoma. That'll be on ABC and ESPN. Um, Alabama is currently sitting at the one as the favorites at 1.5. Although let's remind everyone, Oklahoma did beat Alabama this year in Alabama at Tuscaloosa. This game's at Oklahoma. So for Alabama to come into this game with a 1.5 point favorite, as a 1.5 point favorite, I'm a little shocked by that, but I will take the I'll take the I don't know if I'll take the 1.5. Texas A&M comes in at excuse me. Texas A&M comes in to that Miami Texas A&M game as the 4 point favorites, and Oregon comes in as the 20.5 point favorites over James Madison at home. I think we knew that was going where it was supposed to go. I don't know what the over under is. I don't know what the stat line is on Ole Miss and Tulane. That's not showing, so not sure if they've made a decision on that yet. I don't know. The top 4 seeds, however, number 1 goes to surprise Indiana. They get the number 1 overall seed. Happy for them. Kirk Signetti is the best. He's so good. He is so good at what he does, and he has turned that program around in a record time. The number 2 seed. Now this one's interesting because I don't like this at all. Now I know Ohio State was number 1, but they lost to Indiana. I, is it bad for me to say I'd rather see Georgia at the number 2 spot? Someone tell me, is that a bad thing? I think it's I don't think it's a bad thing to say that Georgia's should be the number 2 seed rather than the 3 seed. I honestly think these two should have been flip-flopped. I would have put Ohio State at 3, Georgia at 2, but I understand why they would put Ohio State there. I think they think that Ohio State's the better team, but regardless of where they sit, more than likely these two teams would have ended up facing each other. Although, God, I am yawning like there's no tomorrow. I'm sorry. Although Tulane gets through, if Ole Miss gets through, that Georgia Ole Miss game could be very interesting. So I'm very intrigued by that. The same thing goes for Ohio State against Texas A&M because Texas A&M is quite a good team, but we'll see. We'll make our predictions maybe on Monday night. Obviously, the 4 seed goes to Texas Tech. Yeah, I expected them to sit here. They'll get the winner of James Madison and Oregon. Oregon Texas Tech is going to be fun to watch. I'm excited for that one. And then the winner, of course, of Alabama Oklahoma will play Indiana. Whoever ends up playing Indiana, that's going to be one heck of a ball game. So I overall I like how the playoffs format has been put together. I like the bracket. The only things I don't like is Miami gets in over Notre Dame, and um, that's pretty much it. Well, that and I think Ohio State, Georgia should have flip flopped here. I think I would have put Georgia at 2, Ohio State at 3. But that's just my opinion. A lot of other people have other opinions on how that's put together. But that is the bracket for the college football playoffs. And by the way, the first teams, I don't know if it's on here. First team out of that bracket was Notre Dame. Second team out of that bracket was BYU. But apart from that, I'm just going to say this now. Those two teams should play. Mormons versus Catholics. BYU and Notre Dame should go at it for a bowl game. That's what I'm thinking. Mormons versus Catholics. That's all I'm saying. I hope those two do go against each other. I feel like they would. I feel like the college football playoffs would do that. Although, actually, the bowl matchups may be put together. So let me look for them. See here. Maybe they're not put together. Okay, they may not be put together. Some of them are put together, some of them aren't. Let me check and see if there's another. See if CBS has them all. Yeah, so some of these bowl games have not been put together. Now, is Notre Dame and BYU been announced? That's the question. I'm looking here. I don't see it. Some of them have been put together. So obviously the Cricket Celebration Bowl, which is the HBCU National Championship game. By the way, our very own local, one of our local colleges, right down the road from us, about 2 hours north, South Carolina State will be taking on Prairie View A&M for once again a potential HBCU National Championship. South Carolina State's been to quite a few of these as of late. The LA Bowl is looking more and more like Boise State versus Washington. The Salute to Veterans Bowl in Montgomery, Alabama. That's going to be Troy and Jacksonville State, I think. The Cure Bowl out in Orlando at Camping World Stadium. Old Dominion versus South Florida. Interesting matchup, actually. The 68 Ventures Bowl, that's been decided. That will be the University of Louisiana versus Delaware. Ooh, that's a great game, actually. I like that. Interesting. The Xbox Bowl. This is a new bowl game at the Ford Center in Frisco, Texas. Arkansas State versus Missouri State, who is making their first ever bowl appearance. And by the way, their first season this year as an FBS program. The Myrtle Beach Bowl and the Gasparilla Bowl have not been decided on who's going to go play there. The Idaho Potato Bowl will be Utah State versus Washington State. The Boca Raton, the New Orleans Bowls have not been decided. The Frisco Bowl, UNLV versus Ohio. The Hawaii Bowl is Cal versus, surprise, Hawaii. The Game Above Sports Bowl, that's in Detroit. That will be Central Michigan versus Northwestern. The Rate Bowl in Phoenix, Arizona at Chase Field, the baseball stadium, will be New Mexico versus Minnesota. The First Responder Bowl, Military Bowl, Pinstripe Bowl has not been decided. The Fenway Bowl at Fenway Park in Boston will be UConn versus Army. That's interesting. The Pop-Tarts Bowl has not been decided. I'd like to see who gets there. Perhaps Clemson might get there. Don't know. This one's interesting. The Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl presented by Gin and Juice by Dre and Snoop. Well, that's a long bowl name. What does the winner get? I guess they get Gin and Juice by Dre and Snoop. I guess. Yeah. Get those football players drunk. Fresno State versus Miami of Ohio in that one. The Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl presented by Gin and Juice by Dre and Snoop. Wow. The New Mexico Bowl out in Albuquerque. North Texas versus San Diego State. Interesting game. I would have liked to see North Texas play a Power 4 team, in my opinion. I think they should have. Gator Bowl, Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville has not been decided. The Texas Bowl, this one's interesting. At NRG Stadium in Houston. Hold on. Okay, just making sure about something. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. The Texas Bowl at NRG Stadium in Houston will be LSU versus the Houston Cougars. Interesting matchup. I like that, though. The Birmingham Bowl has not been decided. The Independence Bowl has. Coastal Carolina will play Louisiana Tech. Yeah. Go Chanticleers, though. I got to support the Carolina schools, even if I don't like the University of South Carolina. The Music City Bowl out in Nashville, Tennessee versus Illinois. That could be an interesting game between those two teams. Illinois has been a pretty solid team this year. The Alamo Bowl at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, USC versus TCU. That could be a very good game between those two. The Relia Quest Bowl out in Tampa, Vanderbilt versus Iowa. I don't like that. Why is Vanderbilt playing Iowa? Give them someone else, man. I feel like Vanderbilt should have deserved a little better than Iowa, but that's just my opinion. Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl has not been decided. The Citrus Bowl has at Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida, Michigan versus Texas. Great game between those two. I if I'm being honest, I feel like Texas might roll over Michigan. If I'm being completely honest, the Las Vegas Bowl at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, one of the most boring looking stadiums ever. Nebraska versus Utah. The Armed Forces Bowl has not been decided. That will be in Fort Worth, Texas. Excuse me, the Liberty Bowl has been decided. It will be Navy versus Cincinnati. That could be a good game, actually. Navy's had a good year. By the way, the Navy Army game is next Saturday out in Baltimore, so that could be a fun game to watch from those guys. The Mayo Bowl and the Holiday Bowl have not been decided, and as of now, that is all the bowl games. So not all of them have been decided. I feel as if they're currently being decided. Maybe it's on ESPN right now. Let me look. Okay, it's not on ESPN. Oh, maybe it is. I don't know. I'll just keep looking at it. So that is it for college football. Congratulations to the 12 teams that have made the college football playoffs. Should be an exciting college football playoffs. I have a feel. I have a lot of intrigues for potential upsets. Not in the first round though. Second round. I think the second round we could see some upsets that could be quite interesting. But cross that bridge when we get there. All right. Of course, we have the NFL going on today. Let's see who's playing who. As if I could care. Let's get the scores up here. Seattle's up 37-9 over the Falcons. That's got 8:27 left in the fourth. Falcons were tied at 6 apiece in this going into the second half, and Seahawks have dropped 17 and 14 in the third and fourth quarter. So that one's done and over with. My Falcons are trash as per usual. The Bengals up 3 points on the Bills. Interesting. And by the way, it's the Bengals ball with 6:48 left in the fourth quarter. So we could be seeing an upset here. Bengals are 4-8, and they have struggled this year. Let's see. 8-4 Buffalo Bills are currently down 3 points. So got a ball game there. Titans are Titans against the Browns. Crap versus another crappy team. Titans up 21-17. They're 1-11 on the year. Could get their second win, guys. Yay! Yay! Vikings are stomping the Commanders 31-0. Golly, this Commanders team has really struggled this year. Injuries have just been such an issue for them, and I feel like they're way better of a team than what this record shows. But the Vikings, I feel like, have been worse, and yet they're up 31-0. Oof. That's rough for the Commanders. Dolphins up 24-10 on the Jets, who beat the Falcons last week. And can you hit a new low if you're the Falcons fans losing to the Jets? Anyway, meanwhile, there is one interesting one down on this list. The Saints are up 24-17 with the ball with 8.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If the Saints beat the Buccaneers, I'm going to lose my ever-loving crap because I'm so sick and tired of this Falcons team losing games. I hate seeing the Falcons suffer while other teams are winning against teams that they shouldn't be beating. Jaguars are over the Colts 31-13. Boy, the Colts their world has turned upside down. I believe Daniel Jones went out of the game today. He was already dealing with a fractured fibula in one of his legs, and to make matters worse, Word is that he tore his Achilles in the other leg. So both legs are now screwed up for Daniel Jones. Really sad to see that. But with the Jaguars, if they get this win, they will take sole possession of first place in the AFC South because they are both currently 8-4 on the year, and that will give the Jaguars the sole possession. Jaguars have turned their season around; they're about to be 9-4 in this season. Steelers up 27-19 on the Ravens. Steelers wins that puts them in a good position for playoffs. Both sitting at 6-6 on the year. Ravens have tried to turn their season around, but they're getting held up by the Steelers right now. Games coming up: Broncos at Raiders in Las Vegas. I think I know who's winning that game. Um, Bears at Packers. This is an interesting one. Packers win, I believe. That would give them first place in the NFC North. So that's very interesting. Bears win, they get sole possession of first place in the NFC North, and it's going to be really hard for any team to catch up with the Bears in the NFC North. Packers are the only team with a chance. So, yeah, there's that. Rams at Cardinals. By the way, that Bears Packers game is in Green Bay. That's 4:25 on Fox. So if you're able to get that game, please do. Rams at Cardinals, 4:25 on Fox as well. I know who's winning this one. Texans and Chiefs. Funny enough, the Texans are 7-5. The Chiefs are 6-6. Justin, come on, man, get your team going. Jeez. I actually don't know who's winning this game. I feel like the Chiefs are the better team. So plus it's at Kansas City, so I have a feeling I think that team's gonna win. By the way, it is a final. Vikings win 31-0 over the Commanders. Obviously, on Thursday, this past Thursday, the Lions get the 44-30 win over the Cowboys. Yippee. Could not care less. On Monday, Eagles at the Chargers in SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. Both teams are 8-4, so this is a very interesting matchup between these two teams. Chargers have quietly been a really solid team this year, but the Broncos have just been unbelievable. 10-2 on the year. Justin thinks they're mid, but I don't think they're mid. I think they're actually a pretty solid team. Teams that are on the bye this week are the Patriots, Giants, 49ers, and the Carolina Panthers. I'm sorry if you hear what's going on in the background. That'd be my dog barking up a storm. So I apologize if you are hearing that right now. Next week, going into the last few weeks of the season, week 15 of 18, Falcons play the Buccaneers. That's on a Thursday night. God help us. Browns at Bears, Ravens at Bengals, Chargers at Chiefs. That could be interesting. Bills at Patriots. That's a very interesting game. Commanders at Giants. Interesting, but not interesting at the same time. They both are teams that could have been better this year if they hadn't dealt with injuries, and they're both dealing with injuries. So, yeah. Raiders at Eagles. That's a blowout. Jets at Jaguars. That's also a blowout. Cardinals at Texans. I think Texans win that one. Packers at Broncos. That's an interesting game. And Lions at Rams. That's also an interesting game, actually. That's going to be a good one. Ooh, we got some good games this next week. Panthers at Saints. I feel like the Panthers might blow out the Saints, but Saints are beating the Buccaneers right now, so who knows? Titans at 49ers. That's a blowout and a half. Colts at Seahawks. I think that's going to be a blowout just because of how the Colts season's been going as of late. And then Vikings at Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. And then on Monday night next week, the 15th, Dolphins at the Steelers. So, yeah, that's the NFL wrapped up in a good cushiony kind of way for you. Yeah. Yeah, that's about it for the NFL. All right. Do we have any bowl games that have been completely announced? No. Okay. So I think I've just about covered everything I wanted to cover. on this show. I think. Anything else I want to cover? Oh yeah, there's one more thing. For those of you who are South Carolina Gamecock fans, I've seen enough complaining about the Clemson game on social media. Can we please stop? That was 2 weeks ago, and I'm still seeing this stuff on social media. Carolina fans, you lost. You lost. Get over it. Simple as that. Just get over it. You lost. Don't say the refs were awful. The refs may have been awful, but you still lost. And people are like, man, this Clemson team was so bad. How did we lose to them? It's because they're bad, but you were worse. Simple as that. So for those of you who are Gamecock plans, please shut up about the football game. Your season's over. Go watch some basketball, women's basketball preferably. Just stop. It's enough. You lost. You didn't make a bowl game. Clemson did. So clearly, yes, Clemson wasn't great this year, but you weren't any better. So please stop talking crap about the game. The game happened 2 weeks ago, and yet I am still seeing this crap. This absolute, ridiculous amount of people on social media just saying, oh man, the refs were awful. Clemson shouldn't have won that game. Well, they did. Sucks to suck if you're South Carolina. That's all I'm going to say. Sucks to suck. All right, now I've gotten everything done. I think that's going to do it for our show. Short show today, but, not a whole lot we needed to talk about. So I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to thank the viewers for sticking by me and, of course, the rest of Lowco Sports. And I will see you guys on Monday night on the Lowco Sports Lowdown, and we will talk more in detail about the Hampton County game that took place yesterday afternoon. And we'll talk about a lot of other stuff, including high school basketball and USCB men's and women's basketball too, with what their schedule is this next week. Because there are a couple interesting games, including one against a Peach Belt opponent that we have never played before. It's a new Peach Belt opponent in Middle Georgia State. So stay tuned for all of that on the Lowco Sports Lowdown tomorrow night. Coming up on the Lowco Sports Media Network, we'll see the guys from One Lowco. Rob Lowe. Excuse me. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I got to get the show up here, so I have the right name. Nope. Where's that show? I know it's on Lowco Sports. The one Lowco Hoops Happy Hour with our good friends Rob Benson, Matthew Fisher Davis, and of course, if need be, Justin Jarrett will hop in on the show. I do know they're doing a show tonight, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I did hear they were doing a show tonight. So that's coming up here on the Lowco Sports Media Network at some point tonight. So please stick through and watch it on the newly branded Lowco Media Network YouTube page, which is back up. Yay! For some reason, to start out the week, the YouTube decided to block the channel. I still don't know why, but it was really weird. So they just blocked it. Poof, gone. Both that one and they brought that one back, and the original Lowco Sports channel that was lost the last time YouTube did that. So they're back. Yay! And so we will be back on YouTube for Lowco Sports Lowdown on Monday night. Tune in for the One Lowco Happy Hour. If you want to hear some real in-depth detail about high school basketball, definitely watch that show. That's coming up probably later this evening on the Lowco Sports Media Network on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. So tune in. I want to thank everyone for watching. And I just want to say thank you for continuing to support us, helping us continue to go and grow. And it's been a fun show for me tonight. I had a lot to get off, but I'm glad I did it for the last 50 minutes or so. So thank you, everyone, for watching. I will see you next time. This has been the Mad Max Loco recap. And until next time, go Loco.